Hi guys, today I want to make this video before Pokemon does their huge announcement. So we are about 17 minutes away from the Pokemon Presents live, and we want to see what they have in store for us and for the hobby, right? We have a Gen 10. Insane, time flies, right? But before I go into the Pokemon, I wanted to talk about this coming weekend, which is the Dragon Ball Divers, their new sets of mangas, and at the same time we have the One Piece OP15 and Yu-Gi-Oh. We have Yu-Gi-Oh as well. So a lot of things have been circulating, a lot of the craziness in the hobby, which is very interesting because now there's so many variants to collect. A lot of people started to dip their feet in other TCGs, OCGs, because Pokemon got too, I would say, expensive, and One Piece is kinda slowly having a decline, and Dragon Ball and Yu-Gi-Oh is starting to have an uproar. And I want to talk about the One Piece. So I always wanted to explain about this video with One Piece. So as you know, OP15 will be releasing tomorrow, and for people who do not know collecting One Piece, there's a in America there's this thing that's been, I would say, circulating, and only English collectors will get mad at me, I know, but I'm just speaking facts. Okay, English, no matter what, blue, white bottom, doesn't matter. English or reprints. I said it again, English or reprints. Even you English cards, you English collectors, see it in your cards, it shows made in Japan. Okay, so first the cards are printed in Japan, then localized and reprinted into English. Pretty simple, guys. There is no such thing as first prints in English. It is reprints no matter what. No matter the Romance Dawn, blue bottoms, white bottom, rock bottom, bikini bottom. I keep repeating this, guys. You guys are falling for them. You guys are falling for the scalping. You guys are falling for these resellers. But in reality, just like Pokemon, you see, no rarity Charizard. Okay, it's over $1 million. Okay, so people understand the value when people are more educated in the hobby. And all these people who collect One Piece, they think that their cards are like first prints, all these erratas. Those are just a tiny speck of how they try to manipulate English, right? Yes, it's for the correction, for the games, for the card game, for people, but if we're talking mainly collecting, right, there is no such thing as first English prints. Okay, as I said, the only thing that's gonna be valuable are international and exclusive promos, right? We have the LA Dodgers, that will be expensive. We have a lot of this exclusive in One Piece, where some are only printed in Chinese, some are only printed in Japanese, some are only printed in English. Those are the cards that's gonna hold and retain its value in the long run, not these modern sets. So when you see a lot of these modern sets, oh, this and that, this and that, both cards are printed in Japan. Okay, English cards are printed later. Okay, just remember, same meta, same artwork, same card. But here's the kicker, guys, I want to be talking about. When you see, wait, do we collect the card for the artwork or for the language? Because in reality, if you put English and Japanese side by side, you could see that the English text is covering most of the artwork. Okay, Japanese, when you see Japanese cards, it pops more because there are less characters, less words, less sentences to cover up the artwork. For example, you have those SP cards, right? You have a lot of those, I would say, looming around, where a lot of the artworks are being covered by basically almost paragraphs, right? 2, 3 sentences. So English cards to me are great. Yes, if you play the game, then yes, of course you need to collect English. But if you don't play the game and you're a collector and you're trying to create a collector's hype that pretends that, oh, these English cards, they were the first prints, this and that, but in reality, guys, even right now, OP15 is releasing tomorrow. When is English releasing? Right? Days, weeks, months after. I don't think that's considered first prints, right? They're all reprints in reality. English are reprints until it's on global release. But till then, OP16, 17, and below will be considered older, okay? Which means collectors will try to pick and attack those cards. So as you know, the rotation, right, from OP01 to 4, right? A lot of the cards are gonna be out of rotation, so those cards are gonna be much more nostalgic for people who started collecting since that era, right? I collected early November 2022, when One Piece released in Japanese, when there was no English yet in 2023. And then, yeah, a lot of things been going on in the market with One Piece, and all these guys, all these One Piece collectors pretending as if their blue and white bottoms make sense. But in reality, again, they're still waiting for the OP15 to be released, guys. Okay, don't be fooled. A lot of these guys are trying to say, oh, you just because you can't afford a blue bottom, white bottom box, guys. I don't need to wait, or I don't need to try to waste, and I would say burn money to get something that's reprinted in Japanese, right? So yeah, all these guys says, oh, you're a brokey, or you can't afford these cars because they're out of your budget range. Okay, if you want to burn your money, go ahead. But guess what? You're just gonna be shooting yourself in the leg in the end. So not my problem. Okay? Again, wait for your OP15 to release, and at the same time, it's gonna be old news. Okay? Again, until global release day, where everything starts to become, because once my take on global release day, when One Piece starts to have this universal global like release for the card game, there will not be any, I would say, uh, there will have this equal playing field where if everything is released at the same time at different languages, a lot of collectors right now would just be uh, base, all the cards will be available, right? So hype's not gonna be too insane, because at the same time a lot of the cards will be mass printed, and at the same time will be mass produced, and almost everyone can get their hands on it. Okay, and for Yu-Gi-Oh, as you see, we have the Dark Magician serials, we have the Dark Magician Girl serial with only 100 exclusive in each languages. Man, guys, Yu-Gi-Oh is pretty insane right now. And I wanted to talk about the people who just want to start to collect Yu-Gi-Oh. Don't collect because of the hype. Collect because you wanna start your Yu-Gi-Oh journey. Same with Pokemon, same with One Piece and Dragon Ball. Yu-Gi-Oh is a very fun card game because it brings back so different style. Right now they have the full frame, the full arts, and back then they have those border cards, but it was still appealing. But those cards will be considered now the holy grail because those cards were made in 2002, 2001, and now they're about almost about 30 years, right? It's insane when you think about it, because Yu-Gi-Oh has been around, and it's basically like our childhood. Same with Digimon. It's been like our childhood nostalgia, and at the same time we all give our love to Pokemon, but in reality, Yu-Gi-Oh is the show is about the card game. Pokemon is about basically the games, right? The actual like virtual games, right? And One Piece is about the anime, not about the cards. But Yu-Gi-Oh is the cards itself, right? So Yu-Gi-Oh is, I would say, undervalued, not overlooked, because everyone knows Yu-Gi-Oh is undervalued. What is overlooked in Yu-Gi-Oh is right now is a lot of collectors now will overlook that OCG side, where they kinda try to talk about only the the valuable cards, right? The Dark Magician Girl, the Blue Eyes White Dragon, but they don't see the exclusive OCG side. And there's a lot, right? We have the mini, the Chibi Exodia, the True Exodia. We have the Magi Magician Girl, which they didn't wanna reprint in English. We basically have a lot of the cards that were censored in English, that in Japanese they are more appealing to collect. And what is underrated with Digimon, right? But that's gonna be for another video because I want to be talking about just Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, and One Piece. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is gonna be interesting this few months, right? And then moving on to Dragon Ball, guys. Ooh, Dragon Ball's is gonna be very interesting the most because a lot of these people, Dragon Ball's IP has been very strong lately due to its shows, right? Yes, the games, but mainly people were addicted to the shows, the TV, the movies. But one thing that stick to everyone with Dragon Ball is the nostalgic when you're either people look to Dragon Ball for motivation, or look for a little bit like comparison, right? People who wants to train, do sports, everyone idolized Goku, right? No one really idolized Luffy. No one really idolized Ichigo. No one really idolized a lot of these One Piece. I would say not One Piece. Sorry, these anime main characters, right? No one wanted to be Naruto, right? But everyone wanted to be like Goku. Everyone wanted to be like Vegeta. They were like they were literally like the dynamic duo in all anime. They're like you could say they're like up there in the goat talk because they had more impact. In reality, they had more impact because people right now, what's One Piece? What's One Piece? What's One Piece? But when Dragon Ball, they never watched Dragon Ball, they know Goku. Even they know the word Kamehameha, right? Believe it or not, no one really knew about Luffy. Okay, no one knew until Gear 5 happened, and that's it, right? And then they're like, oh, I cannot watch One Piece because it's too long. So I guarantee it's just hype from the TCG from One Piece is what made One Piece popular. And of course, the anime where people started to try to highlight that the anime is good, but at the same time, remember, pre 2022, the world wasn't really talking about One Piece. Okay, I've been collecting One Piece before anyone else here in the English. No one collected Japanese. Okay, there was no noise for One Piece. No noise. No noise for 3 years in 2019. No noise for collecting One Piece cards. Okay, so yeah, and then now we're moving on to Dragon Ball, where Dragon Ball is starting to have its love because of its artwork. Akira Toriyama, right? You know what's really iconic about the Akira Toriyama sleeping Goku? For example, this one. Okay, this card is very iconic because GT. If you guys watch GT, the ending of GT, it was amazing because when you look at it and when you look back at it, Akira Toriyama passed away sadly in the year of the dragon, right? 2024. It was the year of the dragon. So if you watch GT, the ending where Shenron asked for Goku if he wanted to follow him, and Goku went with him, and then Goku actually just rode with Shenron into the clouds, and then Pan would pick up his shirt, and then they didn't really see Goku really. How can I say? Like after that show, right? It was like years after till Pan became look like a grandma, but basically when Pan picked up his clothes, Goku's clothes on the ground, and Vegeta told her to take care of it, and then Goku, for some reason, after the battle with Shenron, he went to sleep on top of Shenron's skull, right? His head, his forehead, and then all the Dragon Balls just inserted into Goku, and then he rode off into the sunset and said goodbye. And then, ironic and sadly, the year of the dragon, Toriyama passed away, as if he was also agreed to leave in the year of the dragon. So yeah, it was actually very, it was a very, it's, he was very young, but at the same time, it was amazing to know that, he impacted so many people, right? Dragon Ball impacted so many lives. It basically changed the culture of anime. Literally, people can say is that it's one of the Mount Rushmore. For me, I would say it's the Godfather. It's the pioneer. It's the start. It was the trendsetter in anime. Okay, Orange. You got Naruto, right? Goku, Orange. Ichigo, Orange. Okay, we have a lot of these animes that basically made Orange their main character, right? MCs now. And then you have the dynamic duo. And then, man, yeah. And then now we have Pokemon. So Pokemon's kind of in an interesting situation where Pokemon is, we'll see what they have to offer because 30th anniversary. I hope they don't do anything lazy with the game or the card game because it's gonna be very interesting how they will try to milk and because Fire Red Leaf Green got released on the eShop, right, for $20, Leaf Green and Fire Red, but people thought like, you know, it was a lazy move by Pokemon, but let's see what Pokemon can do to kind of shut these complainers up, right? Pokemon at the end of the day is the strongest IP, strongest franchise in the world, and no matter what, people will milk Pokemon because Pokemon is basically you could even say the godfather of cards, right? The most expensive trading card sold at auction is a Pikachu Illustrator, guys. And soon, the no rarity Charizard will be the godfather as well. Because people are aware, as I said, Japanese, right, are printed first. When people are aware that Japanese prints first, real deal collectors will go straight to what is truly valuable, and which is Japanese cards. Same with Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, same with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets printed OCG side first with OCG exclusives, and then English gets to censor it. And that's just how it is, guys. That's just how it is. And for Pokemon, I'm looking forward to the new game, the Winds and Waves. I really wanna, I really wanna play that new game because it's kind of like in the islands, right? So I'm from the islands, and man, I really want to see what Pokemon has in store. And for the card game, I wish they do Gen 2 some love, or Gen 3, right? I would say Gen 1 is just hugging all the thunder, but Gen 2 and 3 has been basically slept and swept under the rug. But Gen 2 and 3 and 4 is actually what continued the Pokemon hype, right? The fact that they're just giving it to Gen 1 kind of irritates me. But that's them, right? People will still buy into their so-called creativity, but for me, in my opinion, the Pokemon creative team are one of the worst creative team ever. Come on, guys, they created a IR Kyogre, IR Groudon. Sorry, they created a IR Groudon. They already created a trainer gallery or altered Rayquaza, but never even made a Kyogre, right? Jirachi. No Jirachi, guys. My boy Jirachi. Come on. Okay, none of the Gen 3, Trico, Mudkip, and Torchic. We never even had any of the trio with Totodile. Yes, we had some with Cyndaquil, but never really reprinted. Just Cyndaquil as the starter. We at least we won the starters: Totodile, Chikorita, and Cyndaquil starter. Right? We have Typhlosion. We have that Mega Feraligatr, but that's it. And here we go, guys. Pokemon Company is going live in 20 seconds. So I'm gonna end this video, guys. Thank you guys for always watching, and thank you for listening to my rant. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and if you'd like to support, it would be greatly appreciated, and hopefully I could go live and talk with you guys. Thank you guys for watching again. Bye bye, peace.